There is a hidden law buried inside the darkest corners of human psychology, a law so raw and so uncomfortable that most men spend their entire lives pretending it does not exist. Yet Machiavelli understood it with terrifying clarities. Desire is not born from beauty, nor charm, nor confidence. Desire is born from the tension between fear and admiration, between comfort and uncertainty, between the parts of a woman she shows the world and the parts she hides even from herself. Seduction, in its purest and most dangerous form, is never about the man. It is about the psychological landscape inside the woman's mind, a landscape filled with insecurities, ambitions, suppressed emotions, and unspoken fantasies. And Machiavelli discovered that the man who learns to manipulate this inner world becomes irresistible in a way that has nothing to do with appearance or status. He becomes the man she cannot stop thinking about, the man she tries to understand, but never fully can, the man whose absence hurts more than his presence. The dirtiest method in Machiavellian seduction begins with a brutal truth: a woman is not seduced by who you are. She is seduced by who she becomes when she is around you. Every woman carries a version of herself that she wishes she could be, a version filled with confidence, freedom, emotional intensity, softness, femininity, wildness, surrender, strength, or stability. She rarely lives as this version. She only dreams of it, and the Machiavellian seducer steps into her life not to love her, but to awaken that dormant identity. He mirrors the parts of her she longs to express. He becomes the stage on which her unrealized self finally exists. She begins to associate him with a version of herself she has never met but desperately wishes to become. And in that moment, he becomes a psychological addiction, because losing him feels like losing the best version of herself. But reflection alone is not enough. Machiavelli understood that the woman does not fall for the man who understands her surface. She falls for the man who understands the thoughts she tries to hide. He watches her silence more than her words. He notices the brief drop in her voice when she talks about the past, the flicker in her eyes when she feels insecure, the breath she holds when she wants to say something but doesn't. He reads the tension in her shoulders, the hesitation in her smile, the softness she tries to conceal with sarcasm or strength. This man becomes a psychological X-ray, and once she realizes he sees her in a way no one else ever has, she feels naked around him, vulnerable, exposed. But she doesn't run. She stays, because being understood on a level deeper than language is the most intoxicating form of emotional power a man can hold. Yet the darkest layer of this method lies in the balance of presence and uncertainty. Machiavelli taught that if you want to control someone, you must give them just enough to keep them hopeful, but never enough to feel secure. A woman does not crave certainty. She craves the man who can emotionally destabilize her just enough to make her chase clarity. He becomes warm then distant, open then unreadable, soft then cold. This is not cruelty, it is tension, and tension creates desire. Her mind keeps replaying the moments when he was gentle, comparing them with the moments when he felt unreachable. The contrast becomes a psychological trap. She keeps trying to decode him. She keeps trying to earn back the warmth he once gave so effortlessly. And in this pursuit, she bonds with him more deeply than she ever intended. But the Machiavellian seducer understands a deeper principle: a woman is not conquered through dominance, she is conquered through emotional gravity. He becomes the calm center of her chaos, the place where her storms finally make sense. He listens not to respond, but to understand. He makes her feel safe enough to open the doors she keeps locked, but not safe enough to forget that he can walk out whenever he chooses. This delicate imbalance between comfort and fear, between emotional intimacy and emotional distance, between being her sanctuary and her threat, is the core of Machiavellian seduction. She becomes consumed with the desire to keep him close, because she knows she will not find this emotional intensity anywhere else. And beneath all of this lies the final Machiavellian truth. A woman is most powerfully seduced when a man triggers both her vulnerability and her ego. He shows her the parts of herself she has denied for years, but he also challenges her, criticizes her gently, pushes her to rise, forces her to confront her illusions. He does not worship her. He does not pedestalize her. He becomes the only man who makes her feel both completely seen and slightly inadequate. And that combination traps her deeper than affection ever could. This method is dark because it works on the level of identity, not attraction. It forges a psychological bond that feels spiritual, emotional, addictive, painful, irresistible. It is the method of a man who understands that seduction is not about the body or even the heart. It is about rewriting the self-image inside a woman's mind. When she believes she becomes a better, deeper, more powerful, more feminine version of herself beside you, she will cling to you with a devotion that defies logic. She will chase you even when you walk away. She will forgive your distance, your silence, your moments of coldness, because the loss of you feels like the loss of herself. Machiavelli's Dirtiest method is not for weak men. It demands discipline, emotional strength, strategic thinking, and an understanding of the human psyche that most people will never possess. But for the man who learns it and uses it with intention, he becomes not just desirable, but unforgettable. He becomes the storm and the shelter, the danger and the comfort, the question she can never answer, and the answer she keeps looking for. And once she falls into this psychological labyrinth, she does not escape easily, because she is not just seduced by him, she is seduced by the version of herself he awakens, and nothing in her world will ever feel as intense again. There is a moment in every woman's mind where desire crosses a hidden threshold, a moment where reason dissolves and emotion takes command. And this moment is not created by romance or kindness or beauty, but by psychological disorientation. And Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous form of seduction begins when a woman no longer knows how to categorize a man inside her emotional system. He must not be fully safe, nor fully threatening, not fully available, nor fully distant. He must exist in the mysterious space between contradiction and clarity. This is where her obsession begins, because the human mind cannot detach from what it does not fully understand. The Machiavellian seducer becomes an emotional paradox. He touches her soul without touching her body. He makes her feel chosen even when he refuses to give himself away. He becomes the possibility she keeps chasing and the mystery she keeps trying to decode. And just like that, her thoughts betray her, returning to him at night, in silence, in moments of boredom, in moments of weakness, in moments when she swears she does not care. But the second phase of Machiavellian seduction is far darker than the first, because it is built on restructuring her emotional dependence. He creates a rhythm inside her life, a psychological pulse, a pattern she cannot escape. He enters her world with intensity, igniting her emotions like a flame touching cold skin. Then he pulls back, leaving her suspended between expectation and emptiness. Her nervous system becomes synchronized with him. She becomes addicted not to his presence, but to the anticipation of his presence. And nothing is more dangerous than anticipation, because it traps her in a future that only he controls. She imagines conversations that have not happened, moments that have not existed, futures that he has not promised. Her mind begins to work against her, feeding her illusions that feel more real than reality. The Machiavellian seducer understands something most people overlook. A woman does not attach to the man who gives her emotional security. She attaches to the man who gives her emotional elevation. Security makes her comfortable, but elevation makes her alive, and she will always choose the man who makes her feel alive. He becomes the storm that shakes her, and the warmth that calms her afterward. He becomes the chaos that awakens her deepest femininity, and the order that organizes her emotional universe. She finds meaning in the tension he creates. She finds identity in the vulnerability he allows. She finds purpose in trying to unlock the secrets he intentionally keeps hidden. But perhaps the darkest dimension is his silence. Machiavelli taught that silence is not the absence of communication. It is the most powerful form of communication. When he withdraws, he does not disappear. He becomes louder in her imagination. She interprets his absence as strategy. She begins to wonder why he pulled away. Did she say something wrong? Did she bore him? Did he lose interest, or is he testing her? This mental chaos becomes a prison, and the seducer becomes the only key. Every unanswered message becomes a riddle. Every delayed response becomes a test. Every moment of distance becomes proof that he operates on a deeper emotional level than the men she is used to. Instead of losing interest, she becomes more attracted, because uncertainty triggers obsession far more effectively than attention ever could. And as she sinks deeper into his psychological maze, he introduces a new layer of emotional conditioning: selective intimacy. He gives her moments of raw closeness, where she feels chosen, desired, special, irreplaceable. He lets her see pieces of vulnerability he never shows to others. He opens small doors in his soul, just enough to make her feel trusted, but never enough to give her full access. She begins to believe she knows him in ways others don't. That illusion becomes the final chain around her heart. Because once a woman thinks she has access to a man's inner world, she will fight for him, defend him, justify him, and surrender to him in ways she cannot explain. But Machiavelli warned that the seducer must remain the unmoved mover. He must be the center of his own universe, the core of his strength, the source of his value. He does not chase her validation, she chases his. This reversal of emotional roles is what binds her. She starts by wanting his attention, then she wants his energy, then she wants his approval, and finally she wants his presence not as a desire but as a necessity. She becomes emotionally dependent in the deepest, most secret parts of her psyche. She hides this from everyone. She hides it even from herself. Yet the truth is that he has become the emotional axis around which her inner world spins. And in the final stage of this method, the Machiavellian seducer does something no ordinary man can do. He gives her a sense of destiny. He makes her feel that meeting him was not coincidence, that being with him awakens a version of herself she didn't know existed. He taps into her fear of regret, her longing for intensity, her desire to feel something beyond the ordinary. He becomes an emotional event, not a person. And once a woman sees a man as an event in her life rather than a participant, she is no longer choosing him. She is surrendering to the inevitability of him. She convinces herself that this bond is rare, that the connection is cosmic, that she will never find this depth again. And she is right, because what she feels is not love but psychological imprinting. Machiavelli's darkest method is not seduction, it is transformation. He transforms her emotional chemistry, her sense of identity, her internal rhythm, her expectations of men, her concept of intimacy, her definition of connection. Every man who comes after him feels shallow. Every moment without him feels dull. Every attempt to forget him feels like erasing a part of herself. This is not a love story. This is psychological possession. Not through force, but through understanding human desire at its most fragile and most powerful layers. And once she has entered this psychological labyrinth, she does not know where he ends and where she begins.